It's not in your notes. Okay, so let's pretend we did some kind of data. We collected some data. I often collect the data of whatever, how many hours people spend on their phone. Okay, so I'm going to pretend this is like a 0 to 2, 0 to 4 hours, 0 to 6, 0 to 8, 0 to 10. So when I collected the data, actually I'll go a bunch of ticks. It's usually common that more people are in the center of your data and then less people are on the extremes of your data. Would that make sense on most pieces of data? There's more people in the middle of it. Okay? This type of pattern is called normal distribution of data. Okay? It makes sense that most people are close to the average and less people are on the ends. Okay? So this normal distribution curve, we base all of our statistics off of it. Right in the middle is our mean. Okay? I'm going to say the average, because this is actually true, the average of the provincial math exam in grade 12, let's say, is 70. It's usually like lower than that, but we'll just go 70. We're going to learn that we're going to use the word standard deviation today. And standard deviation tells us how spread out the data is. Okay, so give me a second here. Let's say the standard deviation was 5. Okay, so standard deviation is telling me how spread out the data is. So if I go 5, that's 75, 80, 85. 65, 60, and 55. Okay, so that's a normal distribution curve. What does it mean? It would mean that 68% of my students scored between 65 and 75% on the exam. It would mean 95% of the students scored between 60 and 80, and it would mean that 99.7% of the students scored between 55 and 85. So if you had scored a 90 on the exam, you would be an outlier. You would be way above the normal. Okay? Or if you'd scored below. That's kind of the idea. Then we're going to learn that stats has z-scores. So one standard deviation above is exactly a z-score of 1. If you're 2 standard deviations above, you have a z-score of 2. If you're 3 standard deviations above, you have a z-score of 3. Okay? Mean, your z-score is 0, -1, -2, and -3. So scoring, if you have a z-score of 3, that means that's really good. You're 3 standard deviations above the average. That's what it would mean. Okay, and if you scored a z-score of 1.5, right, you'd be somewhere here. Okay, etc., etc., etc. So that's the gist of what stats is all about. We're going to be getting z-scores. We're going to be understanding how much of the data is above you or below you or between you. We're going to go do those kinds of things.